Hello and good Saturday evening. Thanks for joining us on this evening. We are tracking storms across Oklahoma and Texas right now. So what you're looking at is the radar from the last like 4 hours-ish. We've seen a lot of good hail out near Abilene and San Angelo, but we've also seen several confirmed tornadoes just to the south of the Oklahoma-Texas state line. We're really hopping on here right now to talk about tornadoes that are going into Granbury, Texas right now, confirmed tornado here. And we're also talking about a tornado that's going into Ardmore right now, also confirmed. So this will be on the west side of Ardmore, Oklahoma, right along the highway line. That has been confirmed in Orr, Oklahoma, has continued to track up to the north and is now very, very close to Ardmore. So here's what the National Weather Service is saying from these Oklahoma storms, and then we'll get into those Texas storms after that. So for this storm in southern Oklahoma, Wilson to Ardmore, damaging tornado and golf ball size hail are the main hazards here. Weather spotters have confirmed that tornado is on the ground. That funnel is on the ground. It is a tornado. It is on the ground. Seeing what other info they have here. These storms are moving to the northeast at about 20 miles an hour. This is a slow mover. These storms have been moving slow all day long, right around 20 to 25 miles an hour is what I've been seeing all day long. Now, that is not our only storm here. You go up to the north, you've got flooding. You go down to the south, you've got hailers and another tornado. So we've got another good hailer going across the Red River right here. I know that this is not a highly populated area, but not only do we have flooding, but this is also warned for golf ball size hail and 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So that's this storm right here highlighted in yellow. Let's move down into Texas. And of course, comment where you're watching from, comment those weather questions, and we'll try to get into as many as we can. I can see your comments on the side here. Anthony on here saying, stay safe, everyone. Yeah, we appreciate that. I agree. This is a tornado threat that we knew that we were going to have, so we were prepared for it. But at the same time, it's always tough to see these nocturnal tornadoes. After the sun goes down, these tornadoes are very dangerous. And a lot of them, especially this one up in Ardmore, is rain wrapped. So that's going to be a very, very difficult tornado to see on the ground. This storm right here going into Granbury, Texas, it's small but mighty. It has already been confirmed and is confirmed on the ground right now for a tornado. Let's see what the National Weather Service has to say about this warning. Not giving me a ton of information from my computer. Let's go to my phone. Let's see if we get some info here. Granbury, Texas, observed tornado. This storm, this warning looks like it's moving to the north at 35 miles an hour, so a little bit faster here, probably because it's more isolated. It can move a lot faster. The reason that I really want to talk about this storm is because it's in a very populated area. So Granbury, Texas, all the way up into the western side of Fort Worth, like Weatherford, Benbrook area, very populated area. So I want to make sure that we let people know that there is a tornado warning for this area. And here, you know what I can do? I can pop over to our 4 box here. And let's see if we can get some info from our Dallas radars. Let's see. Okay, let's populate data, and I'll switch over so that you guys can see these radars as well. Alrighty, there you go. So there's your Granbury storm just on the northwest side of the city right now. Confirmed tornado is located near Bluff Dale, or 10 miles west of Granbury, moving to the north at 35 miles an hour. Max hail size here, 1 inch, moving to the north at 30 miles an hour. So What we're watching for here is some pretty decent hail with this. I know that the National Weather Service said 1 inch, but I'm kind of wondering if we could see some larger hailstones in this. You can see the inflow there, right there. There's the inflow. There's what they're talking about. There's your tornado right there. And you can see it really, really well on correlation coefficient. So yeah, we are seeing a confirmed tornado. I know it's difficult to spot on the radar here. You can't fully see unless you're really trained in this, the entire radar signature. But yes, it does look like a very promising tornado, either still on the ground, moving to the north, or it was on the ground. And it's very rare that we get a north mover like this. Oftentimes, whenever you see these stronger storms producing a tornado, they move almost directly to the east. So I wonder if it's weakening. We don't know, or at least I can't tell from this view, but it could be weakening just because of that northward movement. So there's another storm that we're watching. However, that's not all. Let's go back to GR Earth. And we've got another storm in Abilene. Now, earlier, these were only warned for quarter-size hail. I wasn't too worried about these storms in Abilene. Quarter-size hail is what we've got right now for this storm right over Abilene right now. And then to the south, we do have a tornado warning from Abilene. South of Abilene, 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, quarter-size hail, and potential tornado. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 9:45. A question about Ardmore. Let me get through these Texas warnings, and then we'll get back up to Ardmore. I just really want to see if there's any severe hail. Ooh, okay, yes, Water Valley, tennis ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds in Water Valley. So this is just to the northwest of San Angelo. And this is what we've been seeing most of the night, where to the northwest of San Angelo and to the south of Abilene, just in this little corridor right here, is where we've seen the largest hailstones. And if we go back a little bit, you can see that we've seen some 2-3 inches on the board. And while this all loads in, I know this is going to bother your eyes. While we get all of that data loaded in, let's go back up to Ardmore, because yes, we do have a tornado warning for Ardmore right now. There you go. We have seen golf ball size hail just outside of Ardmore in Lone Grove. And again, we've got this question about, is there still one near Ardmore? From Angie on YouTube. And yes, Ardmore to Lone Grove, we do have a tornado warning. This is in effect until 9:45. You've got another 25 minutes on this warning. And there has been a confirmed tornado already in Orr, Oklahoma, but we can get you a little bit closer. Here's Orr, Oklahoma, back here. This may be the closest confirmed sighting we've gotten of this. So just to the east of Orr, and it looks like it's tracked up. It may be making a turn to the east here. Let's bring up our 4-box in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Now, this is going to be a little bit trickier to spot because this is so far away from the actual radar itself. It's hard whenever we get into southern Oklahoma. We have to use Oklahoma City's radar, and it's just so far away that we're looking so far up into the storm, it's not giving us accurate data. And that's just what we have to deal with, right? I mean, there's nothing else that we can do about that. Okay, there you go. There is your Ardmore 4-box here. I'll tell you what you're looking at here on the top left. This is your classic reflectivity. This is what you see from your meteorologists on TV. Top right, storm relative velocity. So how fast are the winds? What direction are they going? Bottom left, VIL, V-I-L. Good indication of hail, however, not always the most accurate. And then bottom right, correlation coefficient. It shows the particles in the atmosphere in relation to each other. I heard a really good analogy of how to explain correlation coefficient just this afternoon. You can explain it by all of these reds and pinks over here. Think of a thing of jelly beans. They're all the same size, right? A big thing of Whoppers. They're all a big thing of M&Ms, all the same size. Now, these greens and these yellows and everything, these blues. Think about all of those Whoppers and jelly beans mixing all together. They're a bunch of different sizes in relation to each other. So that's what we see from correlation coefficient is we've got all of these different sized particles in the air that the radar is detecting. Now, what that could usually means is either debris being lofted into the air or it means hail. It's one of the two. So it's either some sort of large particle is getting mixed inside of this thunderstorm. So that's how I explain correlation coefficient. I thought it was a phenomenal analogy, and I wanted to share it with you all. A lot of questions about Ardmore, Oklahoma. Yes, you have a tornado warning right now. We do have some rotation with this, but again, it's extremely difficult to see because there's just no good radar to pull from. We can either pull from this Oklahoma City radar up here, or we can pull from the Dallas radar down here. Either way, it is not a good area to pull the radar data from. We have a new tornado warning, Sulfur to Roth, Oklahoma. So this is warned for until 10 o'clock tonight, tornado and quarter-size hail moving to the northeast at 15 miles an hour. Now, let me tell you, this is a slow mover. It is an extremely slow mover. It is not moving very fast at all. Here's your tornado. Here's where I'm looking for the best rotation right here. And we may even have another one. Look at where that red box is. Now look at where that red box is again. So we may have two different areas of rotation that the National Weather Service is watching for right here. We often don't get these little areas of rotation like what we're seeing right now in such a clustered and messy storm system. So it's extremely difficult to point out exactly what we're watching for. But yes, we do have some areas of rotation that we're keeping an eye on from Sulfur to Roth. And really, I think it's right here. So it'll be on the west side of these cities that you have to watch out for. What other questions do we have tonight? Are a lot of people watching from Oklahoma? Or are you mostly watching from Texas? If you tell me where you're watching from, I can point the radar in that direction. There's one question about Davis, Oklahoma. So it's a little farther up to the north. You are just, depending on what side of the city you're in, you're just outside of the tornado warning. If you're on the east side, you're in that tornado warning. If you're on the west side, if you're outside of that tornado warning. However, you have a line of storms that you're going to be dealing with for the next 2, 3, maybe 4 hours at least. I mean, look at this line of storms. It goes all the way down into Texas, and it's really not pushing to the east very well. You are going to be dealing with this line of storms for a while. So not only are you dealing with that potential tornado threat, so I would watch these storms down here. They could come your way, but you're also dealing with that flood threat. So you'll probably get ponding on the roadways. We've seen it here in Oklahoma City. We've seen that ponding on the roadways. I'm reading some of your comments here. We've seen that ponding on the roadways, and it was a difficult drive to get back home. We just went from Edmond into Oklahoma City, and there was a lot of standing water on the roadways. I'm very nervous if people don't drive very, very safely that there's going to be some issues on the roads because this is just getting worse in terms of that flooding issue. Okay, we've got a lot of other questions. Houston, Texas, Ardmore, Oklahoma, Owasso, Oklahoma, Fort Worth, Texas, Ardmore, Lone Grove, Tulsa. Tulsa, let's go up to Tulsa and Ardmore. Excuse me, Tulsa and Owasso. There you go. There's your entire state of Oklahoma. All of your activity is down in the southern side of the state into Texas. We have 2 more tornado warnings that we'll talk about here in just a minute. Tulsa and Owasso, you're good right now. I'm not terribly concerned about Owasso, not terribly concerned about Tulsa, except for that flooding risk. As I mentioned to our Oklahoma City people earlier, you have just a line of storms coming your way. You're going to get a lot of rain too quickly for the roads to handle. You're going to see ponding on roadways. You know that area in your neighborhood or that area during your commute, that area on your way to church tomorrow, that always seems to pond and always seems to flood, those are the areas that you absolutely have to watch out for, because you're going to see standing water on the roadways. You're going to see people who try to drive under the overpass that they think it's safe. But if you cannot drive through that water, if you cannot see the ground in front of you, don't drive through it. You're going to see people stuck tomorrow. That's just how it goes in these situations. Pounding really hard in Davis right now. Yeah, you're out of that warning, but again, I would watch for these storms that are to the south of you, because they could come up near you and spin up a tornado. And we've got some large hail that we've seen reported in Ardmore as well. Carter, Oklahoma, so that's the county, and Lone Grove is the city. The emergency manager reported golf ball size hail in this area. Getting some reports of Ardmore east of I-35 right now. Lots of lightning, thunder, but light rain is all that we've got right now in Ardmore east of I-35. So east of 35, you're on this side of the storm. The storm is moving your way, so it's moving into you. So you're on this side of the storm. Here's 35. You're on the east side. The storm will probably be moving into you. So if it's light rain right now, you've still got storms coming your way. Another question on YouTube: any confirmed tornadoes touching down near Ardmore or Marietta, Oklahoma? We have had a confirmed tornado farther to your west in Orr, Oklahoma. So here's one. You can see that highlighted there in purple. What this says is a trained spotter reported a tornado near Oswalt Road and South Highway 76. And then this one highlighted there in purple. The emergency manager has reported power lines down, sheds and barns damaged on Belleville Road in Courtney. So those are updates from what we've gotten so far tonight. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I'm reading your questions. This is a good question. Is Ada, Oklahoma in the clear? So for right now, sorry, that was so fast to zoom out. Right now, Ada is included in a severe thunderstorm warning. So no, you're not in the clear. It may not be may not be raining too much right now, but the National Weather Service is warning you that all of this stuff is coming your way. All of this stuff is coming your way. So make your plans, make your preparations, be prepared, not scared. We are warned right now for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. This is your marginal, your garden variety severe thunderstorm warning. However, what I really want you to keep an eye on is this tornado warning farther back to your south that is moving your way. It's a slow mover, so it may take some time to get to you. It's a slow mover, but it's moving your way. So that's for Ada, Oklahoma. Right now, that tornado warning is down in Sulfur and Roth, Oklahoma. We do have a new tornado warning that's moving to the east side of Ardmore, Dixon, Mansville, Gene Autry, Mill Creek, Tishomingo, all included in this warning. This goes until 10:15. Again, these are slow movers. It's moving to the northeast at 20 miles an hour. And we have upped our hail potential here. Tornado possible and hail up to 2 inches in diameter. Now, great time of year, I guess, to talk about how big 2-inch hail is. It's about the size of an egg. About the size of an egg. You know those Easter egg hunts that you do? That's 2-inch hail. Here's the wording from the National Weather Service here. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. That's the wording from the National Weather Service. I know this may seem a little chaotic. Let me take off a few of these lines. I can't take off any more. I'll explain them to you. The pink line, confirmed tornado warning. The red lines, your classic tornado warning, either radar indicated or the National Weather Service thinks that there's something there that could be a tornado. It's very, very difficult to spot this in such a clustered, disorganized group of storms. We have a golf ball size hail report in Lone Grove, so large hail associated with this storm. As we go down to the south, here's your severe thunderstorm warnings for large hail and high winds. Now, I do want to mention that we do have another update for Fort Worth. I know we had someone asking about Fort Worth earlier. Adam was asking about, is Fort Worth, Texas in the clear? It depends on what side of Fort Worth you're on. If you're on the west side, I want you to still be watching these storms. Keep an eye on the radar because, yeah, we still have a tornado warning. We have 2 cells with that tornado warning out in Millsap and just to the north of Granbury. These warnings go until let's see, 10 o'clock. And again, they're moving slow. Now, these little isolated cells are going to move a little bit faster than this cluster up to the north. These are slow movers. These down here are going to move a little bit faster. Abilene, Texas, we still have a tornado warning down here for technically in Clyde, Texas. That goes a few more minutes. If not, it may go until 9:45. What's your hail size here? About quarters, not too big down here in Abilene, 1-inch size hail. This was an area that I expected to get some pretty decent hail today, and Abilene has missed all of that hail. Now, we have seen some really big hail farther down to the south, just to the north of San Angelo. Let's see what our biggest hail size. Okay, 2-incher in Breckenridge. What else do we have on here? Ooh, we got a 3-incher, big hailstone, larger than the size of a golf ball, larger than the size of a baseball down in Texon, Texas. This is in Rankin and Upton County. I think that's the biggest hail size that I've seen reported today. Let's see if there's any other big stones in here. 3 inches is the biggest hailstone that I've seen reported today. And that's a pretty decent sized hailstone. It doesn't get too much bigger than that. Zooming out, there's your severe warnings, anywhere from Big Lake all the way up to Ada, Oklahoma. We've even got 1 severe thunderstorm warning coming into Lubbock right now. Now, these were not expected to be severe. They're marginally severe, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. We even saw some storms up to the north earlier today. What was our hail sizes up here? Now, we expected these storms to go into Pennsylvania, so they were pretty well forecasted. Not anything too big from what I can tell, just some confirmed hailstones less than the size of a quarter, less than 1 inch in size. So all of the larger hail has been farther down to the south in places like Texas and even Oklahoma. Zoe is asking, how about Oklahoma City? Are we going to be good tonight in Oklahoma City? You're going to get some rain. Flooding is going to be the biggest issue. But in terms of hail and tornado, you're probably in the clear. I'm not too worried about it here in Oklahoma City. Let me show you guys something. You know what a great way to determine if you are safe from the big tornadoes tonight? Check out those temperatures. Tornadoes need heat. Heat rises. We need something surface-based for those tornadoes to latch onto. When temperatures are so low in the 50s, pretty cold for a tornado. That doesn't mean it's impossible. However, it's extremely unlikely. If your town is in a temperature that starts with a 4 or a 5, your risk for tornadoes is extremely low. 40s, 50s, if I was betting, I would say most likely no tornadoes tonight. Now, once you get to the 60s, you've got the 70s down here in Texas, you're a lot more likely for that potential tornado. You can check the wind. We've got a southeast wind coming out of Dallas. That south wind is going to help to provide that shear, to help make those cells spin. That's also going to help increase your tornado risk. You've got that north wind in Oklahoma City, that tornado risk goes down. So I'm really just not worried about that tornado risk here. Not terribly worried about that hail risk here in Oklahoma City. I would be a lot more concerned with that flooding risk. We just drove down. I don't know if you heard me, Zoe, talk about how we drove down from Edmond to Oklahoma City earlier, and the ponding on the roadways on the highway, Broadway extension, was terrible. I mean, it was drivable, but it was not fun to drive in. It was pouring on us, and there's water standing on the roadways. The signs on the roads that give like the time until each next exit, they were saying expect delays, expect delays, expect delays. Another question about Roth, Oklahoma. So here we can go down back to the southern Oklahoma storm, because yeah, we still have these tornado warnings are going to go for another 45 minutes until 10 o'clock. So we've got 20 minutes on that one until 10:15 for this one down here for Gene Autry, Dixon, Mansville. Oh, we got a new one. Whoop. Go back. Sorry, y'all. I don't have my normal mouse that I use. So these transitions are not very smooth. Doherty into Springer. I think there's so many lines. I can't see that town name. Mills Creek, a new tornado warning. Whew, and tornado and golf ball size hail. So we could also see some really large hailstones over here. Now, again, I know that someone was talking about Ada. These storms are still moving out to the north and east, so they could be coming your way. Another question about, we can get back into some of these Texas storms here. What about Denton? So Pilot Point, just outside of Denton. Here's Pilot Point. There's Denton. There's your tornado warnings. You have a while until this makes it over to you. And I know that it's getting late, so you're probably wanting to go to bed soon. Make sure that you have multiple ways to get alerts through the overnight hours, because I do think that we could continue to see this risk for the next few hours. But it's going to be a while until these storms get to you. They're moving very, very slow right now. I'll give you an example, because I know sometimes it's hard to visualize how slow these storms are moving. I mean, think about how fast you can travel on the highway, right around 60, 70 miles an hour. These right now are moving at 30 miles an hour. So they're very slow movers. They were in Granbury. I don't know if it's Granbury or Granbury. About 25 minutes ago, and they've barely moved out, have not made it to Weatherford yet. Barely to the highway. So that's just an idea of how slow these things are moving. And that's a north mover. We would need northeast to make it to Pilot Point. So it's going to be a while. You guys are in the clear right now. Do anything that you need to outside right now. There are no storms in Pilot Point right now, but you will have storms later on tonight. Rain is picking up just south of Ardmore. Yeah, again, pretty slow mover here. Ardmore, man, you guys have a lot of warnings over here. Ooh, we just got an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust recorded in Ardmore. So you not only should see the rain pick up, but also the winds. Reading what we've got a meteorologist chat, and I'm reading what they're saying here. They're saying this line in southern Oklahoma is a tornado machine. That's what it feels like, right? With all of those warnings, holy moly, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 warnings going on in southern Oklahoma right now. What other messages do I have in my Met chat? Reading some of these warnings as well. Just tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning. If you hear that buzzing in the background, that's my phone going off with every single warning that we're getting. So that's what we have right now. Sulfur all the way down. I mean, look at this line of storms all the way down into Texas. We've got this little isolated storm out just to the north of Granbury right now. This would be the one that I would be really keeping an eye on. Tornado and quarter size hail with this. Moving up to the north, tornado, not warned for hail in Mineral Wells. Moving up to the north, nothing warned in this northern side of Texas, but as you get into the Red River, into Oklahoma, you start getting more of those tornado warnings for, let's see, 70-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail right to the north of Gainesville, right along the Oklahoma-Texas state line. Going up 35 here into Ardmore, this tornado warning is warned for golf ball size hail and moving to the northeast at 25 miles an hour. It remains in effect until 9:45, so it's about to either be expired or they'll issue a new one. I'm quite interested in this one right here, highlighted in pink. This is a confirmed tornado, golf ball size hail, and damaging tornado is what the National Weather Service says. That goes until 9:45 as well. Now, I want to give you an idea of golf ball size hail and 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds. That would be one of the more concerning things that I see here. The tornado, of course, very concerning, but if you've got hail flying around as well, that could be absolutely a dangerous situation. So if you are in one of these red polygons, try not to stand close to any windows. Try to be in the most center room of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Is that a new warning in Marietta, just south of Ardmore? I don't think this is very new. It's warned for a tornado and golf ball size hail. It goes until 10:15. It was warned at 9:38, so about 7 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago. Relatively new. Another really good question. Looks like all storms are staying to the west of DFW for now. Any idea when they are expected to shift to the east? So we kind of talked about earlier, this is a great question, that these storms are very slow movers. They will shift to the east. I think that by the time that they do, they're going to lose a lot of their energy, a lot of their oomph. I hate that word energy, but that's kind of the best word to use right here. Still, I do think that you have a watch in place. You don't have a watch in place for Dallas right now. But I can get, if you guys just give me a minute, I can get your models up to see when the storms are expected to go into Dallas. We can pull in some weather models. Today, when I was watching these storms, it seemed like it took them forever to fire up. I really expected this to be a lot more active in the afternoon. But it turns out, as we hit just sundown, things really started to get going. Okay, I have your weather models pulled up. If you all have ever done an impromptu forecast with me, you know that I have to take a minute to zoom down into whatever question, whatever location you've asked about. So give me just a minute here to zoom down into Dallas. And I'll try to make this North Dallas because I know we have people on from Denton. And then, you know what? We'll start with Dallas and then we'll go into Oklahoma because I know that we have people watching from Oklahoma as well. We'll even include Marietta and Ada because we've been talking about all of those cities. Give me just a minute. We've got a lot of people talking about these Oklahoma storms. So just in case that you were not on here earlier, whenever we talked about them, yes, we do have several tornado warnings down in southern Oklahoma. Yes, we did see a tornado spotted farther back on the west side of I-35, but we're getting a report now that there was a tornado spotted in Davis, Oklahoma. Now that's a YouTube report, so I don't see that coming in from the National Weather Service quite yet, but maybe they'll update that in the next radar scan here. We did get a 2-inch hail report. Again, 2 inches, the size of an egg, really, really good size hail out in Lone Grove. That's Carter County, Lone Grove, Oklahoma. That came in about 20 minutes ago. Massive hailstone there, especially with that 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. Holy moly, these two are definitely going to impact your cars and your houses and your windows and your siding and your roofs. And you kind of know where I'm going with that there. Hail in Ohio earlier tonight, but not anymore. All right, here's your graphics with that question about DFW. When are storms coming into DFW? They have been sitting on the south side of DFW all night. So when are they finally going to move into the city? Here's your timeline. So here we are, lunchtime today. Here we are at models did not handle this well at all. 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight. They expected storms to already move through. Yeah, models are not doing a great job. All right, here's the storms that we have right now. Still on the west side of the city by about midnight tonight. These models are not your friend right now. They are not doing a good job handling these storms at all. Let's see if we can pull something else up. Let's see. This is April 19th. Let this load in. Ooh, okay, I like this model a lot better. A new run. Okay, while I load this new model up, it's what we call a paintball model. I'll go back to your radar so that you can, okay, Ada is now included in a tornado warning, tornado and golf ball size hail, potentially for Ada. Moving to the northeast at 15 miles an hour, warned until 10:30 this evening. So again, Ada, you are included in a tornado warning. You're inside that red polygon. Get to the the innermost room of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, Ada, Oklahoma. I know that we have people watching from Ada, so I want you guys to be aware of that brand new tornado warning. All right, this model is a lot better for us. Just a minute. Okay. So this is a new model, new as in like the last year or two, that the National Weather Service has been working on. I think it's the National Weather Service. It doesn't really matter where it comes from. Matters. Oh, okay. So I think it's a really good model. Okay, so it's called the Paintball model. So I know that this will get a little confusing. What am I looking at here? Here's Oklahoma City. Here's Dallas. But I do think that it does a really good job of really giving you an idea of where the storms are right now and where they're going within the next few hours. Now, it's quite clustered. It's quite cluttered on here, but it does look like storms may be missing the southern side of DFW, moving into the northern side in the next 2 to 3 hours. So that would be, do some math, midnight to about 1 o'clock in the morning. That's round number 1. Moving forward to one a.m., 2 a.m. Okay, so maybe another round early tomorrow morning, and you'll probably wake up with storms as well. And here's 3 a.m. I know this is a very confusing model. I really like the Paintball model, though. I think that it gives a really good idea of what's going on. It's a short-term model, which means that it only goes out the next 6 hours. It doesn't go out any farther than that, so I cannot tell you what we're expecting after the next 6 hours, after 800Z. I don't know if you guys understand, if you know Zulu time, but 800Z is where we're at right now. That would be 3 in the morning. So to answer your question in very plain, simple terms, you're going to have several rounds of storms in Dallas that are most likely going to come in the overnight hours early tomorrow morning. And it's probably going to rain for most of your Sunday morning. And I was hoping it would pull some of these other warning modes in, but it's going to take its sweet time. No. Oh, there you go. So this is hail parameters. Still a good chance for hail over the next few hours. It's your hail parameter. This only goes out about 30 minutes. But it has, targeted southern Oklahoma, just outside to the west of DFW. and then over near Abilene. So it actually did a pretty good job handling this. Better than our other models did. They didn't do a great job. If I can be just a little critical of them. Alrighty, let's move back. Let's go back to the radar. I'll stop nerding out about the weather models here. We're going to lose people. Okay, lots of questions still about these storms down in Thackerville. Ooh, whoops. And in Ardmore, Oklahoma. One person saying, I'm in the center of Ada, so I'm trying to get as much info as I can to know if I need to shelter. Yes, Ada is included in that tornado warning, so you definitely need to shelter. That's highlighted there in red. That is your tornado warning. If you're inside of that polygon, you absolutely need to shelter. They're saying not only potential tornado here, but also golf ball size hail, and then strong winds. We've got some strong winds with this already. So think about that hail, golf balls flying very, very quickly towards your house. You don't want to be near windows at that point. So try to get to the innermost room as you can until this tornado warning has expired. So this goes until 10:30. You still have another 30 minutes on this warning. So I would try to be at the innermost room of your house, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and stay away from windows. The National Weather Service, here's their exact wording here for Ada, Oklahoma, Ada, Roth, until 10:30, they are saying, take caution now, move to a storm shelter, safe room, or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows if you are outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle. Move to the closest substantial shelter to protect yourself from flying debris. The impact here, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. So that is very standard for a tornado warning. This is nothing out of the blue. It's very standard for tornado warning. All of these warnings have a very similar language that they're using. We do have a new tornado warning for Mill Creek highlighted there in red right here. That goes, it looks like until 10 o'clock. So maybe that's not as new. One of these is new. Most of these go until either 10 or 10:15. Tom's saying north of Sulfur had a close ground rotation, but haven't heard anything about a touchdown. Yeah, let me know what your reports are from the cities that you live in. Have you guys gotten any hail yet? Now, don't go outside and look if it's dangerous, but if you see that hail on your Ring camera, or if you happen to go outside and take a picture of it already, let us know. Send us your pictures. We still have that warning down to the west of DFW, Agnes, Weatherford. Now, what is this warn for in terms of hail? Just a 1 inch. I'm curious how accurate that is. You want to see something cool? Just how great these radars are. You can see exactly where that tornado was, or what they were warning for. Watch this area right here. Pause it. We take our, there you go, take that off right there. Just a well-defined gate-to-gate velocity signature right there. And look, you can see, you can watch it go all the way up to the highway, from Granbury to the highway. You want to see it again? So if you're ever wondering what to look for on the radar, I mean, right there, that is classic. There, this is where it is right now. Here's your tornado warning going into Weatherford, Texas right now, crossing the highway here just to the west of Fort Worth. Here's Fort Worth. Here's Weatherford. Any hail with this? Terribly impressive. Maybe a little bit. right in kind of where that red square is, right in there. Anything around the Vanoss area. Vanoss, Oklahoma? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Just outside of Ada. I think you're still included in a tornado warning. So I would still stay sheltered. I don't know if you're too far out of that area. No, you are not included in that tornado warning anymore. Here you go. Let me switch over. Here you go. Vanoss, Oklahoma. Here's Ada. Here's like Stratford area. You've still got some heavy rain, but after this line of storms, I bet your temperatures are going to tank and you'll be in the clear. So you're going to have that flooding risk, but that severe risk is going to go down significantly. Good news for you. Like places like Paul's Valley, you're going to have rain, but that severe risk is going to go down significantly. Could you have a little bit of hail? Yeah, but I think that tornado risk is just about done after you're out of the red polygon. So kind of depending on where you are in Vanoss. We had another question about San Angelo, I think. Yeah, there you go, San Angelo. And then after we go to San Angelo, we have a question about Norman, Oklahoma, and we'll get to Norman as well. San Angelo, Texas, just to the north. We've got some, what was the question about San Angelo? Was it hail? I don't know what the question was, but yes, we've seen a lot of hail in the northern side of San Angelo. So this has been way north of San Angelo, but we've seen a lot of hail there today. We'll kind of rewind this radar, see how far back we can get, and show you all of these storms that have gone through producing little hailers just all day today. There you go. There you go. There's your 2-incher. I told you there was some hail back here. So this is to the north of San Angelo. Robert Lee City is where the storm dropped a 2-inch size hailstone. And then we were pretty quiet in terms of our storm reports for a while. However, still a lot of tornado warnings just to the north of San Angelo. And then now here recently, we've gotten golf ball and quarter size hail. So that golf ball size hail has been in Tom Green, Texas. A storm chaser reported it just 3 miles to the southeast of Water Valley. And that was about 40 minutes ago. You still have another severe thunderstorm warning warned for golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds. So pretty good hailer still going on just to the north of San Angelo. The question was about tornadoes and all the things. Hail and wind is going to be your biggest risk right now. Your tornado risk is going to be pretty low for now. However, keep an eye on this storm right here. Again, it's out of San Angelo proper, but I would keep an eye on this storm. And then farther back to your west, you're going to have this come up closer to you. It's moving slow right now, but it's going to move your way within the next, let's see, how fast is it moving? It's moving slow right now, about 30 miles an hour. And it's about it's about 60 miles from you. So it's going to take about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to you. So within the next 2 hours, you're going to get another round of storms that could potentially produce tornadoes, large hail, and high wind. You're going to have another round. I know this is like the 7th round that you guys have experienced today, depending on where you live in this area. But yeah, you're going to have another round moving closer to you within the next about 2 hours. Okay, let's go back up to Oklahoma. We have a lot of questions about Oklahoma. We've got Norman, Ardmore, Oklahoma, Sulfur. Okay, so I do want to address this Norman question here. Questions about Norman. Driving up from Harrah, Oklahoma, and I think Harrah's not too far from Norman, right? It's on the east side of Oklahoma City. So if you drive from Harrah to Norman, you will be driving in rain. However, your tornado risk, your severe risk, I'm not worried about it. You will be driving probably through some flooded waters, probably through some flooded roadways. So you know the drill here. Turn around, don't drown. Don't drive into anything that you can't see the road in front of you. Slow down. You don't want to fishtail. You don't want to spin out. However, that severe risk, I'm just not worried about it. It's extremely, extremely low. I've been hearing the lightning, the thunder outside my window here in Oklahoma City. I know it sounds really loud out there, especially with those just downpours of rain coming down right now. However, that hail, high wind, tornado risk, that's going to be way farther to your southeast, not up in Norman. And I'm shocked that we have so many tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Give me just a minute and we'll go back up to Ada because we've got some more questions about Ada. So here you go, Ada, Oklahoma, highlighted there in red. You do have to shelter right now. Ada, your tornado warning goes until 10:30. You've got another 20 minutes on that. Give me just a minute. And we'll get back to your tornado warnings down here in southern Oklahoma. Just checking our meteorologist chat. Okay. We've got a lot of updates. Thank you for all these updates. One question, does Norman have any severe risks? No, it does not. Norman should be in the clear. Another one, Matt says it's coming down sideways here. Another question, Ardmore, Oklahoma, it's very rainy here. Yeah, Ardmore, you are almost out of that severe risk in Ardmore. I know that you've had high winds, 80-mile-per-hour winds, 2-inch size hail. It has been a very, very loud and wild night for you all in Ardmore. However, you're almost out of that severe threat. Give it another 20 or 30 minutes, depending on what side of the city you're on, and you will be out of that severe threat soon. Okay, once this is done, once this line of storms gets past you, you'll be done with that severe threat. Anything back to the west, you guys are in the clear. And I think that's a pretty good point to make, actually. Anyone to the west of 35, anyone to the west of this line of storms right here, you all are in the clear. So one thing that I said earlier, a good indication of that is I put your temperatures on the board here. So here's your wind, here's your temperature. A very good indication of if you are out of the severe risk, does your temperature start with a 4 or a 5? Are you in the 40s or the 50s? 58 in Pauls Valley, 54 in Norman, 57 out in Duncan. These are the areas that are severe clear for now. And for the rest of the night, I'm not worried about these areas getting storms for the rest of the night. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. Let me just double check real quick. I think that you guys are good. Oh yeah, we're out of the severe risk for tomorrow as well. Okay, that's great news. So you're done. You can go enjoy your Sunday. Go cheer on the Thunder tomorrow. Thunder is at noon tomorrow. It's going to be rainy, but you're severe clear if you're to the west of 35 here. If you're to the west of this long line of storms. So Ardmore, you still have a little bit. 20, 30 more minutes, then you can sleep tight. Question about Tulsa. Do we think that Tulsa could get hit with a tornado? What's going on in Tulsa right now? What are we looking at in Tulsa? Let's see. What are your winds? Got a north wind. I would say the chance is very, very low. I would say probably not. I'm just going to check a few other models because we've got a lot of forecast questions, but I haven't checked models in a while. And if you all hear that jingling, it is because I'm doing this from home tonight. I'm not in the office tonight. That is my little dog who has a lot of energy because she's been cooped up all night long. And just like all of your dogs, it's raining outside. She can't go outside and play. Okay, just kind of looking at a few other models here. Tulsa, your biggest risk is going to be that flooding risk, okay? You're going to get a lot of rain within the next few hours. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning. The ground is going to be so muddy. It's going to be soaked. You're going to see ponding on the roadways. So especially if you get out really early tomorrow morning, you are probably going to have a flooding risk through most of the morning hours. But then even through like the early afternoon, you're going to have a flooding risk. Okay, so about lunchtime, you've got storms coming through. And here, you know what? I'll just show you all this. I like this model right here. Let me switch over. There you go. Alrighty. Let's look at this model right here. This is the NAM nest. If you're a weather nerd like we are, you know what the NAM nest is. Short-term, high-resolution radar model, high-resolution model. Tulsa, right here. You're going to get rain over the next few hours. The chances of severe weather, pretty low. However, the chances of really loud lightning and thunder and downpours, pretty high. You're going to hear those storms through the overnight hours. You're going to continue to see that rain through early tomorrow morning. Get a little bit of a break. Maybe you can head to church during that time. But again, it's going to be rainy right around lunchtime. Once again, this is right around noon tomorrow. The biggest risk that you're going to have is that flooding risk. Actually, the wording from the National Weather Service of Tulsa earlier today was potentially life-threatening flooding. So you're watching for about 3 to 6 inches of rain, and it doesn't matter how much rain you're going to get, but more how fast you get that rain. So after any downpour, you're going to see ponding on the roadways, and that's going to increase that flooding risk. You kind of know the drill here. Turn around, don't drown. When in doubt, take another route. And I was looking for that exact wording from the National Weather Service. Let's see what they said. I don't see it on here. But that flooding threat is going to be a massive issue over the next 24 hours. I know that we've got already here in Oklahoma City, and the metro, we've had a lot of flooding issues in Oklahoma City. Sold out cars on the roadways, highways have been here. Actually, let's check the ODOT cameras. There we go. Let's see. How are people getting around? Ooh, lots of lightning, lots of thunder. People are fine on the highways right here. I don't see any stalled out cars. Now, the highways are going to be a lot better, obviously, than the back roads. But it's going to be these overpasses. It's going to be your exit ramps. Those are going to be the ones that have a lot of issues. Yeah, it looks like highway traffic's moving pretty good here in Oklahoma. Here's Oklahoma City. We're looking in South OKC right now. And I know we had some questions about Tulsa earlier too. So I think Tulsa was how we got started on this whole flooding issue. Tulsa, I don't think has seen as much rain as Oklahoma City has. Look at that big temperature difference. 48 here in OKC, but then we've got 60 degrees out in Ada. Here's your rainfall totals. Oh, I spoke too soon. Tulsa has seen quite a bit of rain, about 1.5 inches already, where OKC is right around the same, about 1.5 inches. And if we are having all of these issues after 1.5 inches of rain, think about what 3 to 6 inches of rain is going to do. So that's what we're expected to get over the next about 24 hours here, over the next 12 hours, I think. Let's take a look. Here's your rainfall totals through Sunday at noon. Here's your rainfall totals. An additional 1 inch here in Oklahoma City. Whew, total soaker down in the southern side of Oklahoma. Northern side of Texas, about 2 to 3 more inches up in Tulsa. All right, let's switch back over to our radars and let's go down to Texas. We have a question about, can we get more eyes on the Weatherford radar? It looks like we have a tornado on the ground, and you're correct. We have seen a reported tornado in Weatherford, Texas. The Parker County Sheriff Office has observed a tornado south of I-20 at mile marker 403 moving to the northeast. That was about 10 minutes ago. So this was observed. And let's switch back over to the Fort Worth radar. Get our 4 box up here. So we're looking right here where that red square is. And it looks like it may have moved from here. Pretty accurate, moving up to the northeast. There. Someone said, you said Weatherford, Texas. I mean, that's where I'm at, Weatherford, Texas. Here you go. There's Fort Worth. There's Weatherford. And there's a very well-defined tornado right there. It is not confirmed. However, it's very well-defined rotation. So I don't know if it's on the ground, but it was earlier. It was about 10 minutes ago. It was on the ground about 10 minutes ago. Maybe some small hail with this, quarter size, half dollar size hail as well. Just reading some of your comments here. Tom is saying lots of trees down at your church in Ada. Little bit of hail up to the size of a nickel. No sirens. So let's check Ada. Do you still have a warning in Ada? Yeah, you have a confirmed tornado warning. Now, you may be out of it, Tom, at this point. So it's moving out of Ada right now. On the northeast side of the city, confirmed tornado warning. And quarter-sized hail moving to the northeast at 20 miles an hour, a very slow mover here. This warning goes until 10:30, so you've got another 7 minutes on this warning. However, you have several more tornado warnings out ahead of this system. This seems they go until 11 o'clock. It's a very long area to be warned for a tornado, but the National Weather Service seems confident that this is, confirmed tornado warning, that this is going to either stay on the ground or we've got maybe a few more circulations inside of here. And then your other tornado warning here in Oklahoma is out in like Mill Creek area. And I apologize for the transitions here. I'm not using the same mouse that I normally do, so it's been a little hard to navigate the radar here. Another question, I think the question was hail in Ada. We haven't gotten any reports of hail in Ada. We've just gotten a report of that confirmed tornado down in Ada. Now, we have once again, you were right. Let's see. Who was the one? Someone was asking about that storm in Weatherford. Yes, there was a confirmed tornado out in Weatherford, Texas. Okay, so this is just to the west of Dallas-Fort Worth. There's Fort Worth right there. We still have that pink polygon, which means that we are still confirmed tornado warning, damaging tornado, and quarter-size hail is what the National Weather Service is saying. Flying debris will be dangerous from those caught without shelter. Very, very standard communication from the National Weather Service here. It's moving to the north at 35 miles an hour. This has been a storm that we've been watching for a long time. All the way down in Granbury, Texas is where we started to see this storm, and then it has continued to move to basically straight north, if not just a little north-northeast, as we've headed into the last 2 hours here. Yeah, just about hour and a half. It's had a very classic tornado signature on the radar. I'm very interested to see what it will do as it continues to track to the north in an area that's, I would say, arguably not as conducive for tornadoes. However, I say that, and then you saw what happened in southern Oklahoma. So it must be conducive for tornadoes. We'll see how long that is sustainable. But yeah, in Ada, I've seen a few more questions about Ada, Oklahoma, that we still have those tornado warnings in effect for 4 more minutes. So if you are on the south side of the city, you're in the clear right now. If you're on the northeast side of the city, stay in your shelter. You still have that tornado warning for the next few minutes. Now, if you're on the south side of the city, depending on how far south, you could have these storms moving towards you in the next few minutes. It's going to take a while. Let's see. In the next hour. How far east have these moved? Little eastward movement, but these could, the northern edge of this line of tornado warned storms right here could skim Eta. So keep an eye on this right here, okay? Lots of other questions about Norman. Norman, there's lightning with thunder and tons of rain. Yep, absolutely. But nothing severe in Norman. We've got some flooding reports. Street flooded, vehicle stranded up in Moore. So we looked at the ODOT cameras earlier. It looks like most highways are pretty good to drive on. It's those side roads that are going to be such an issue. So you know that area in your neighborhood that always tends to flood. We know an area here in Oklahoma City that people always seem to get stuck in. Those are the areas you have got to avoid over the next 12 to 18 hours. Early tomorrow morning, even into the early afternoon hours, make sure that you're avoiding those areas. Take areas that you know are safe. Highways are going to always usually be the safer option. Tom says Ada's looking a lot better outside right now. Yeah, you guys have definitely seen some improvement. However, again, watch for these storms. You have a while, okay? You've got probably about an hour until these storms get to you. But still, keep an eye on these storms back to the south of Roth going into Fitztown, because this could be your next issue coming your way. Marietta, Oklahoma. Let's go down to the south. Marietta, you guys are out of the severe risk right now. You still have this severe thunderstorm warning. 70-mile-per-hour wind gust and ping pong ball size hail, but you're basically on the backside of this system. So you're really watching for this area right here. You're almost out of it. Let's see, what do you have further down? Okay, Marietta, you're just about out of this severe cluster, but you've got more coming your way. This is the thing about this line of storms. It's not just going to be one round. You're going to get a severe thunderstorm warning, and then you're going to have another one back down to the south and west. You're going to get it again. Okay, this is what we call training thunderstorms, where it just like hits over and over and over and over, kind of like a train track. It's very hard to get off of that track. It's very hard to make that eastward movement, which is why it seems like storms have been sitting to the west of Dallas forever now, because it's very, very difficult to get off that track. So these training thunderstorms is going to increase the rainfall that you get in your area over a very short amount of time. That flooding risk is going to go up. And so that's why we're seeing cars stranded out in Moore, because we've gotten so much rain so fast. People try to get home. Their cars are stranded. Roads are closed. We're seeing that. It looks like in Ardmore as well. We're getting another report of flooding in Ardmore. This says the river or creek is overflowing in 2 miles to the north of Ardmore. Not a ton of information there. We've got a question about Calera, Oklahoma. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Storms are going to take a while to get to you. It's going to be late tonight, overnight, into tomorrow morning. It's going to take a while to get to you. High wind and hail, potential spin-up tornadoes are going to be possible. But it's going to be a while until it gets to Calera out near Durant, Oklahoma. Someone asking about Ardmore. Ardmore's right here along 35. Right here. Just to the north of the Oklahoma-Texas state line. Lots of questions about Ada. Yeah, it does. It looks like we had a confirmed tornado in Ada. Confirmed tornado in Ada. So this will be on the north side of the city, the northeast side of the city. I guess it's technically 3 miles to the northeast of Ada, Pontotoc County, Oklahoma. This was the official National Weather Service observation. So a radar indicated touchdown of a tornado on the northeast side of Ada. Things have calmed down here. However, I would definitely watch these storms farther back to the south. This is going to be your next one to keep an eye on. It may just go on the south side of Ada. It may not hit all the way through the center of the town, but we'll keep an eye on this. Yeah, and then someone's saying that we still have another tornado warning. Sassaquah? I hope I'm saying that correctly. You'd think growing up in Oklahoma, I'd know all these towns. Holdenville, Atwood, Allen, all included in that tornado warning and quarter size hail. This goes until 10:30. Goes until 11 o'clock tonight. So you've got another 30 minutes on this. Now we can pop over. I'm going to look at the rest of Texas before I do this. We can pop over to our 4-box in Ada or just to the north of Ada. But I'll tell you, it's very, very, very difficult to get a good read on the radar so far out here. So what you're watching for, and I think it's a lot easier to see. There you go. I think it's a lot easier to see on these like right here from the velocity, these little notches right here. That's what you're watching for potential tornadoes. Spalding right there. That's what I would be watching for. High winds, these little notches. Let's see, have I had the radar on long enough to go look at that confirmed tornado? No, unfortunately not. Yeah, but you're watching for like these little notches right here. That's where you're going to see those spin ups. And it's very, very promising that this was a tornado right here. From the reflectivity, it's extremely difficult to tell, but from storm relative velocity, it's a lot easier to tell. Yeah, and Brooke is saying exactly what we're seeing right here. Sassaquah, Spalding, Holdenville, all in the path of tornadoes. I see. Pronunciation of this, Sassaquah. Thank you. Another update for our friends out near Durant, Oklahoma. If you get anything, it looks like it'll be closer to 2 a.m. I'd be on board with that. I'd say very, very late tonight, early tomorrow morning. So again, it's only like 10:36, so almost 11 o'clock here. You've got a while. These are moving to the east very, very slow. Oops. For my friends out near Calera, we do have a new tornado warning. So This is moving to the northeast, about 35 miles an hour. Tornado and half dollar size hail. Now, it does not include you in Calera. It includes Kingston, Cumberland, and this warning goes until 11 o'clock. I bet they extend that. I bet they make it go a little bit longer than that. So someone mentioned radar scope. I do like using radar scope. I can see that in the comments over here. One of my favorite things that I like to do with radar scope, you have a new severe thunderstorm warning as well that goes until, oh, let's see. Why is it so difficult to find? 11:15. There you go. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 11:15. I have a feeling that the National Weather Service is thinking that these storms are going to pick up speed because they've been warned for 20, 25 miles an hour. Now we're seeing them warned for, I think this is 35 miles an hour. Nope. They still only warned it for about 20 miles an hour, but I think that these storms are starting to pick up speed. So while earlier we thought that maybe it was going to be about 2 a.m. before Clara got storms, I think it's going to be late tonight. I don't think it's going to be early tomorrow morning at this point. But what I like to do, here's your national weather, or here's your radar scope app. I like to take the distance tool, and you can see the distance from your closest raindrop to Clara. Let's go a little farther south. And you can say, okay, it's about 14 miles away. Well, if these storms are moving at 20 miles an hour and you're about 14 miles from the storm, then what time do you think that this storm will get to you? I'd say about 45 minutes. So by 11:15, 11:30, the storms will be at your doorstep. So I like to do that. I like to see how far these storms are from you. Then you can decide when they're going to get there, right? It's way easier than using a model because these storms are already on the radar. Tom's giving us some reports from Ada. The neighbor's tree fell on your house and broke the kitchen window. Oh no, yeah, I hope that you're okay. That is very, very scary. Let's check Ada. We still have tornado warned storms from Sassaqua all the way up to Holdenville, Wetumpka, all included in that. Wewoka on the east side and getting very, very close to the highway here. So we're just south of the highway for this northernmost tornado warning going up to like Okemah, Henrietta. So just kind of giving you an idea of where these storms are. The National Weather Service, this area a little highlighted in pink here, okay? The National Weather Service gives us these mesoscale discussions, and I really like to read these because it's short term what they think is going to happen, and I think they have a really good grasp on this. What they're watching for here is a tornadic QLCS. So what that means is a quasi-linear convective system has materialized and has materialized across portions of southeast Oklahoma with a tornadic debris signature recently observed over Ada, Oklahoma. What they're saying is that this long line of storms that are potentially producing tornadoes have, yes, produced tornadoes over Ada. So in very plain terms, there's a long line of storms that have already produced tornadoes, and they expect that to continue. They go on to say this parent circulation, possibly an embedded supercell mesocyclone, as well as multiple other pronounced mesovortices, should continue to track eastward across southeast Oklahoma over the next few hours. So they're saying, yes, we've seen that these storms have a history of producing tornadoes, and we expect that to continue over the next few hours. Continuing to read here. Where did I leave off? These storms continue to be preceded by a moist boundary layer and strong low-level shear given the presence of a southerly 40-mile-per-hour low-level jet per the most recent mesoanalysis data. As such, tornado potential will continue with this QLCS, as also suggested by the latest WARN-ON forecast output. We already looked at that. I showed you guys that earlier. Strong tornadoes remain possible. So in very plain language, with this area highlighted in pink, what they have warned for here is they say that what you see right now, where we have these tornado warnings ever so often in this line of storms, that is likely to continue over the next few hours for places like McAllister, Boswell, including Durant, Atoka, Antlers, Oklahoma. Now, a new one, okay, what does the National Weather Service of Tulsa think? I will not bore you with reading this out loud again. I will read it myself and I will explain to you what they think. So there is not a tornado watch for places like Coweta, Okmulgee, Okemah, Shakota, Muskogee, Tahlequah. You kind of get the picture. All these areas highlighted in pink right here. See this pink little polygon? All of these areas from Fayetteville all the way back to Okemah. This area, there is not a tornado watch yet. However, they are going to issue one. So it is likely coming here pretty soon, because of this line of storms that they expect to continue to move to the northeast and stretch up into this area. We are going to be watching for these sporadic tornadoes inside a long line of storms where they say that supercells are possible. I'm reading your chat, seeing if there's any questions about this area. So what does all of that weather jargon mean? That means that all of these areas right here, I wish I had a little like drawing tool that I could show you exactly what I'm talking about here, but from Fayetteville, Siloam Springs, Coweta, all the way down to Durant, Oklahoma, Antlers, all of this is included in an area that you will probably see that tornado risk continue as we head into the late night hours tonight and early tomorrow morning. So expect this to continue for the next 3 to 4 hours, even into places like Fort Smith, Arkansas, Poto, Oklahoma, all of these areas. You should expect to see what we have seen already in Ada and in Medill, where you're seeing this line of storms with some potentially large hail, potentially some tornadoes, some high winds. That risk will continue to stretch to the east and to the north here. Are we still in a watch in places like Ardmore? We technically still are. However, I do see a lot of chat about Ardmore, and I think that you're correct. I think that you're basically out of the risk now. I'm not too worried about Ardmore anymore. Another question, where are we based out of? Hail Trace is a weather mapping company. We have 17 meteorologists here at Hail Trace, and we are based out of Edmond, Oklahoma. So we're close. We're not in Norman. I went to school in Norman. So I know Norman very, very well, but we are not based out of Norman. We have a lot of people who live in Norman. Speaking of, we do weather forecasts at noon every single weekday and sometimes on the weekends. If we have storms like this, I did a weather forecast today at noon. We'll go live. We'll talk about storms and we'll talk about the weather. So give us a follow and you can watch our forecasts every single day at noon. We go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and occasionally TikTok. Matt says that water rescues are being conducted by the sheriff's office in Ardmore. Yeah, I saw that we were having some issues. There was a creek overflowing and that there was some issues. A new update from this tornado warning. We have a confirmed tornado at 10:45. A confirmed tornado is located 4 miles west of Kingston, moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. Tornado and half-dollar size hail are the biggest impacts or hazards that are going into Kingston right now, Woodville, Cumberland, southern Oklahoma. This tornado warning continues and goes until 11 o'clock tonight. Oops. Ada, Oklahoma. I told you I would keep an eye out for you because I was a little bit worried about these storms that at one point were tornado warned, but have now, we still have a tornado warning in Conville, Clarita, Colgate. However, Ada, you are almost out of that severe risk. If you're on the west side of Ada, you're out of that severe risk. You're good. You can go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and see another round of rain. However, your severe risk tomorrow is extremely low. That's great news for Ada. I know that you guys have already been through a lot tonight with that tornado. And because we have been talking about tornadoes so much tonight, I told you that Hail Trace Maps is a weather mapping company. We map tornadoes, high wind, and hail. So if you're looking for a tornado map, a wind map, or a hail map, head to hailtrace.com. We've got that. Our meteorologists are working right now. I'm not the only one working right now. I'm looking at our Met chat. We've got a lot of people looking at the radar tonight. I don't know exactly who was on call for tonight, but I know that Matt and Xander were both on call at some point this weekend. So if you watch our normal forecast at noon, you've heard us say those names because they produce a lot of our noon shows. Allen and Holdenville confirmed tornado warning, tornado and quarter-size hail. And then this second tornado warning goes from Holdenville to Wetumpka. And this tornado that we've been watching down in Weatherford is still trekking. Look at this, all the way up into Agnes, Texas now. Pull up our Dallas radar right here. It's populating data. Give me just a minute. Maybe it's kind of taking its sweet time to pull up this data. All right, GR2, come on. Alrighty, there we go. All right, so we do have a confirmed tornado. This was our Weatherford tornado that was before our Granbury tornado that we've been tracking all night long. Ooh, can you guys hear the thunder out my window? We've been tracking this all night long, and yes, we do have a confirmed tornado. Once again, this is in Agnes, Texas, on the northwest side of Fort Worth. So here's Fort Worth. There's that tornado warning. Down in Texas. What other things do we have in Texas? We haven't visited Texas in a while. Some severe thunderstorm warnings for quarter-size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and quarter-size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gust. So this is just to the south of Abilene. And then we've got this big long line that I told you was going to move into San Angelo over the next few hours. It's not there yet. It's still trekking towards San Angelo. Give it another hour. Whew, what a tornado producer. I increased our risk for tornadoes today. However, I didn't expect it to get this far up into Oklahoma. I'm not quite sure anyone expected it to just kind of make a tornado machine out of Oklahoma. Especially this far north. You know, I think we expected this in the southern side of the state. This far north. Another question about Calera, Oklahoma. Yeah, so we officially have a tornado warning for just south of Durant. Tornado and quarter-size hail is what this is warned for, and it goes until 11:15 this evening. So we still have about 20 more minutes on this tornado warning headed towards Calera, Oklahoma. We have another question about the Durant silo area. You're included in a tornado warning as well. You can see that we've got a confirmed tornado out of, and I'm not quite sure where we're confirming this out of. And where did we get this information? They don't specify if this is radar confirmed. However, the National Weather Service is using very intense wording here, pretty standard. If we confirm a tornado, you can tell that we know that because this warning is highlighted here in pink. That means confirmed tornado. These warnings highlighted there in red, that means that potential tornado. That we could have a potential tornado. However, the National Weather Service is confirming a tornado was located about 4 miles west of Kingston, moving to the northeast at 35 miles an hour. They're warning for a damaging tornado and half-dollar size hail. Oh, we're getting reports now that it was weather spotters that confirmed this tornado west of Kingston. So I wonder. And again, it's difficult to tell where this tornado is whenever we are so far away from the radar site. There's a lot of lightning out my window. But there's the tornado warning that we're talking about right here. I wonder if we go back. I mean, you can tell the exact path right there where that red square is. So this will go to the north of Cumberland. And we still have a tornado warning that goes to the south of Tishomingo. Tornado and quarter-size hail moving to the northeast at 35 miles an hour. Another tornado observed in Medill. What other questions do we have on this Saturday evening? Almost 11 o'clock on this Saturday evening. We've been kind of hopping back and forth between Oklahoma and Texas. We've got another question about Texas. Oops. Marietta, Oklahoma. So yeah, we've been kind of hopping back and forth between Oklahoma and Texas. Confirmed tornado going into Medill, Oklahoma, into Cumberland, and then we'll eventually see this move to the north and east. We had some questions about Silo earlier in the Durant area. You have 2 tornado warnings depending on where you're at in this area. South of Silo, closer to Durant, you're watching for this activity farther back to the west. And if you're in Silo, you're watching for this activity coming out of Kingston. However, I'm more concerned about what's on the northern side of this warning than what's on the southern side. Although if you look at this little notch right there, you may be watching something right in there. What about Durant, Oklahoma? Go ahead and shelter if you're in Durant because you do have a tornado warning that's been issued until 11:30 tonight. So you've got another 30 minutes left on that warning. And then we've got another question about Texas. In Texas, I don't know where you're at and what you're asking for, but we have 1 severe thunderstorm warning up in Lubbock for small hail, quarter-size hail, not even any strong wind. However, going into San Angelo right now, something that we've been talking about all evening long is San Angelo's forecast, 80-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. You know, I don't care how small that hail is. If it is coming at you 80 miles an hour, whew, that is not fun to be in. That is definitely something that's going to impact your car, your roof, your house. You get the picture there. Another severe thunderstorm warning. This one's for 70-mile-per-hour wind gust and half dollar size hail. So this area of Texas is your wind machine. You go farther up to the north, you've got some hail and tornadoes ongoing. Nothing confirmed right now. We have tornado warnings that are not confirmed. However, that doesn't mean that something can't touch down any moment. I'm reading some of our reports from our meteorologists. So put your questions in the comment center and I'll try to get to them here in just a minute. I've got another about 10, 15 minutes on here. And then I've got another forecast tomorrow about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So make sure that you're following our Facebook and our YouTube and our Twitter and our LinkedIn channels because that's where we do the live forecast at. And I'll hop off of here and get ready for the live forecast tomorrow morning. So follow these channels. And we will do another live forecast tomorrow morning, right around 10 o'clock, right before the OKC Thunder game. All right, let's see. We've got Fitztown. Got a question about Fitztown. We've got another question about Warner, Oklahoma, Kingston, Oklahoma. Lots of Oklahomans on here. Kingston, Oklahoma, I think that there was a confirmed tornado over here. You are still getting that rain, those high winds right now, some large hail. So stay in your place for the next I would say about 30 minutes. It's a rough guess there. Stay in your place for about 30 minutes, and then you'll be in the clear. Then you can go to bed and sleep sound tonight. Warner, Oklahoma. You guys are testing my Oklahoma geography right now. Near I-40. Excuse me. So Warner is just out of that risk right now. Okay? So we still have a severe thunderstorm warning coming your way. So I would expect you to be included in that severe thunderstorm warning within the next 10 or 15 minutes. Let's see. How long does this go until? Until midnight? Okay. I would expect you to be included in that severe thunderstorm warning in the next 30 minutes for Warner, Oklahoma. And you'll probably be included in a watch. I'm actually quite surprised that the National Weather Service has not issued a watch in this area yet. They said that they would. They said there was an 80% chance that they would. So they didn't say that they necessarily 1000% would, but 80% chance that they would issue a watch for this area. So I'm surprised that they haven't yet. And then there's your tornado warnings. What was your other question? We had another question in here. Fitztown. Excuse me, nice sneeze here. Fitztown, just south of Ada, Oklahoma. Let's see. Now you guys are almost out of the risk, okay? So you may still have a watch in place, but I would expect the National Weather Service to expire that here pretty soon. I'm surprised. And they may be still watching the stuff down to the south here. Maybe that's what they're watching, but they haven't expired that watch for places like Sulfur, anything to the west of 35. I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't expired that watch yet. Let's see. Read some of their information here, and then I will have to jump off here in a few minutes. So I'll tell you in the meantime, I know that your local forecasts. Where can you get your local forecast through your overnight hours out in the eastern side of Oklahoma? KOCO is doing live coverage, I think, right now. I don't know about the other ones. I know that Damon was on earlier. Okay, I don't see him on anymore, but I think he's been doing cut-ins every now and then. If not, follow your National Weather Service on all of your social media. Wherever you're watching me from, go to X, Twitter, Facebook. The National Weather Service is pretty good about being up to date on X and Facebook. So National Weather Service of Norman, I think, is where most of these areas. Here, I think I can pull the CWAs on here. Let's see. I thought I could. There's your Storm Prediction Center. Okay, so it's either National Weather Service of Norman or National Weather Service of Tulsa. And I don't know where the cutoff is. However, You can always follow both of them on social media and get more updates on the warnings there, and then updates on your forecast and everything. Now we'll do a forecast tomorrow right around 10 o'clock in the morning. So you can always follow us for more updates tomorrow as well. But I do have to hop off of here because I have to get sleep beforehand. Let's see if there's any last questions. Milburn. Tell me, whenever you guys tell me these small towns, tell me like a big town close to you so that I can find you. Milburn, Oklahoma, outside of Tishomingo. There you go. Okay, so Milburn, you're still included in that tornado warning. Stay sheltered for now, okay? This tornado warning goes until 11:30, so stay sheltered for at least the next 20 minutes. This severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Kingston. We did have a confirmed tornado back near, I think, just to the west of Kingston. It's moving to the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. So it's moving a bit faster than it was earlier. So stay in your place in Milburn right now, and at least for the next 20 minutes. Tishomingo, you're technically outside of the tornado warning, but you're still included in a severe thunderstorm warning. So you're going to get that loud rain and maybe some hail. What is this warned for? Ping pong ball size hail. So you could get 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, ping pong ball size hail out of this storm as well. However, your tornado risk is dwindling. And we've got an update that Channel 5 and Channel 9 are on right now. So those are great stations to go to. I don't know who's on 9 right now, but Damon Lane on 5 does a great job. I'm sure whoever's on 9 will also do a great job. So I'm going to hop off of here. Last question here, Durant, Oklahoma. You got that tornado warning coming your way, so go ahead and make your plans to prepare to shelter. So if you're on the west side of Durant, you should be in your shelter right now. The east side, you have a few minutes, make those preparations and go ahead and prepare to get in your safe space. That you may have to deal with this for about the next hour, but after that, you should be able to go to bed and sleep tight. You're going to deal with a flooding risk tomorrow morning. Okay, so make sure that you have multiple ways to get those weather alerts in case roads are closed, in case you have any big flooding risks in your area. I would keep an eye on these storms down to the south as well. So make sure that you are checking the radar before you actually officially go to bed, and make sure that you have multiple ways to get severe thunderstorm, tornado warnings to your phone that will wake you up. At least one of those should be able to wake you up. I know weather radio is a great investment to have for this spring season. Okay, I am going to hop off of here. So thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Make sure that you follow us on all social media, and we'll be back here at 10 a.m. for your next severe weather update, because we still have storms tomorrow out in Arkansas and in Missouri. All right, have a good night. Stay weather aware, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.